September 10, 2025. Utah Valley University. A single gunshot echoes through the crowd. Within seconds, one of the most recognizable conservative voices in America is gone. Officially, a lone gunman is blamed. But what if the truth is far more disturbing? In the months before his death, Charlie Kirk was not just a political commentator. He was a man under siege. Inside Turning Point USA, staff whispered about turmoil. Donors were restless. And a storm was building around Kirk that would put him on a collision course with forces far more powerful than he imagined. Kirk had authorized a full financial audit of his own organization. An audit that could have exposed irregularities in how millions in donor funds were being used. That audit was set to begin, days after his death. He was also clashing with his own donors. His decision to platform Tucker Carlson at Turning Point events drew outrage from wealthy backers who demanded loyalty to traditional Republican foreign policy. To them, Kirk was becoming unpredictable, even dangerous. What had once been viewed as bold strategy was now seen as reckless defiance. Every new decision he made pushed him further away from the safety of donor approval and deeper into confrontation with the very people who financed his movement. In their eyes, Kirk was no longer an ally they could control, he was a liability, a risk that had to be managed before it spiraled out of their hands, and then, something darker. Just 2 weeks before the assassination, the far-left website Jezebel announced they had paid practitioners online to cast a curse on Kirk. At first, it sounded like internet trolling, a cheap stunt meant for clicks. But to Kirk and those around him, it carried a very real psychological weight. He was already under pressure from politics and donors, now he was being targeted in the spiritual realm. The idea that people were openly declaring they wanted to bring supernatural harm shook him deeply. Kirk and his wife, Erica, became so disturbed that they reached out beyond politics, beyond security details, and sought the help of a Catholic priest. To them, this was no longer just about finances or reputation, it felt like a war on their very souls. September 10, UVU campus. The energy is high as Charlie Kirk steps onto the stage, greeted by students, cameras, and anticipation. Within moments, the shot is fired. The sound cuts through the hall like a blade. Chaos erupts. Students scream, diving for cover, chairs clatter across the floor. Police rush in as the scene dissolves into panic. And almost immediately, the narrative begins to take shape. Tyler Robinson, age 22, acted alone. Case closed. But here's the problem, there is no video, no single frame of footage, that shows Robinson pulling the trigger. The most crucial moment of the entire assassination is missing. What the public gets is not evidence, but a story. A story written too quickly, and one that leaves behind more questions than answers. Eyewitnesses say the shooter wore tactical gear, body armor, a helmet, the look of someone trained for combat. Robinson? He wore casual clothing, a plain shirt and jeans. The contrast could not be more obvious. Even more damning, the weapon spotted on the rooftop does not match Robinson's alleged rifle. 2 different guns, 2 different images. And then comes the most critical detail of all, the ballistics report. It confirms that the fatal bullet was too fragmented, too shattered on impact, to ever be matched with Robinson's weapon. In other words, the supposed murder weapon cannot be proven as the one that killed Charlie Kirk. The official story insists Robinson acted alone. But the evidence itself refuses to cooperate. Within hours, the crime scene was sanitized. Drop cloths were rolled out. Renovations began. Blood, debris, shell casings, evidence, cleared away before forensic teams could even complete their work. What should have remained a sealed and protected site suddenly became a construction zone. Why the rush? Why erase a crime scene in record time, faster than protocol would ever allow? In high-profile assassinations, the crime scene is sacred. Every inch is supposed to be photographed, measured, and preserved. But here, the opposite happened. Instead of preserving truth, it looked like someone was burying it, and then came the federal takeover. From the very first day, the FBI seized control of the investigation. Local Utah authorities, those who should have been leading the case on their own soil, were abruptly sidelined. Sources confirm the Bureau has been applying relentless pressure on state officials to declare the case closed. A lone gunman, they insist. End of story. But is it really? Because when the federal government moves this quickly, when they strip local investigators of authority and rush to control the narrative, history tells us something. It usually means there's more beneath the surface. One theory suggests Robinson was never the shooter. Instead, he was tricked, used to drop off his rifle at a predetermined location. The real assassin? A trained professional operating from a secure position. That would explain the unmatched ballistics, the precision shot, and why Robinson appeared calm hours later at a Dairy Queen. Think about it. If Robinson was the true gunman, why would the weapon not match the fatal bullet? Why would eyewitnesses describe tactical gear that Robinson never wore? And why, after supposedly carrying out a political assassination, would he be found sitting casually in a fast food restaurant, relaxed, showing no signs of panic? That behavior is not consistent with someone who just committed the most high-profile killing of the year. The idea that Robinson was a pawn, not the mastermind, begins to make sense. Someone may have convinced him, or even paid him, to bring his rifle to a specific location. Maybe he thought he was helping with security. Maybe he believed it was just a routine errand. What he didn't realize was that he was walking straight into a setup. His rifle would become the planted weapon, the object that investigators could point to, while the real shooter carried out the mission from a position of safety, training, and cover. This would explain the unmatched ballistics report. It would explain how the shot was so precise, fired from a vantage point that only a professional marksman could utilize. And it would explain why Robinson, far from running or hiding, acted with no urgency after the assassination. He didn't think he had done anything wrong. He didn't even realize he was about to be framed. History is full of cases where scapegoats were created to protect the true operators. From covert intelligence missions to political assassinations, the method is the same: use one person as the fall guy while the real killers vanish into the shadows. Robinson may have been set up as that fall guy. His calm behavior after the event was not the confidence of a trained assassin, it was the oblivion of someone who never knew the role he had been forced to play. If this theory is true, it raises even darker questions. Who had the resources to stage such an operation? Who had the power to control the narrative so quickly that the public was told, "Case closed," within days? And most of all, who benefits from silencing Charlie Kirk? This theory is not just speculation, it fits the gaps in the official story. It accounts for the missing video, the conflicting eyewitness reports, the fragmented bullet, and the strangely convenient cleanup of the crime scene. Every loose end the authorities fail to explain is tied neatly together by one chilling possibility: Tyler Robinson was not the assassin. He was the patsy. Robinson was young, isolated, vulnerable. The perfect patsy. A fall guy to absorb the blame while the real conspirator slipped away unseen. He had no political machine behind him, no network of lawyers or donors to shield him, just a name and a face that could be plastered across headlines. In every great cover-up, there is always someone like him, someone naive enough, disconnected enough, to become the scapegoat. And the deeper we dig, the clearer the pattern becomes. This was not random. This was orchestrated. Step by step, layer by layer, every piece fits a design too precise to be coincidence. The timing, the weapon, the ballistics, the rush to sanitize the crime scene, the federal takeover, all of it begins to look less like chaos and more like choreography. A stage-managed act in which Robinson was never the villain, only the decoy. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was not just the silencing of one man. It was a warning. A message. To anyone in American politics who dares to expose corruption, question foreign policy, or challenge the wrong donors. It says, step out of line, and you can be erased. The question is no longer, did Tyler Robinson kill Charlie Kirk? That is the story they want us to debate. The real question is, who ordered it, and why? Because behind every convenient narrative there is an author, and behind every cover-up there is a motive. Until we know the truth, this isn't just about one man's death. It's about the lengths to which power will go to protect itself, and what that means for anyone brave enough to stand against it. This story is not over. Not by a long shot. The truth about September 10, 2025 may reveal the darkest secrets of power, money, and control in America today. What happened on that stage at UVU was not just a sudden act of violence, it was the culmination of weeks, maybe months, of pressure, manipulation, and planning. The financial irregularities Charlie Kirk was about to uncover. The donor revolt he was trying to manage. The backlash over Tucker Carlson. The spiritual attacks. The psychological warfare. And then, the perfect scapegoat, a 22-year-old with no training, no motive that fits, and no evidence showing him pulling the trigger. For weeks, we have been fed a story, a lone gunman, an isolated outburst, case closed. But the facts do not match the narrative. Eyewitnesses describe tactical gear, Robinson wore casual clothing. The rooftop weapon doesn't match his alleged rifle. The ballistics don't line up. And before investigators could even finish, the crime scene was scrubbed clean, evidence erased in record time. Then, in came the federal takeover. From day one, the FBI seized control of the case, sidelining local authorities, restricting information flow, and pressuring Utah officials to call it solved. Ask yourself, why? Why the rush? Why the silence? Why the pressure? One theory suggests Robinson was never the shooter at all, just a pawn. A patsy. Used to drop off his rifle at a predetermined location while the real assassin, a trained professional, fired the fatal shot from a secure position. This explains the unmatched ballistics, the precision kill shot, and why Robinson was so calm hours later at a Dairy Queen. It explains the witness intimidation, the media coordination, and the relentless effort to control the narrative before the public had even processed what happened. Robinson was young. Isolated. Vulnerable. The perfect fall guy. A name to pin on a press release while the true conspirators slipped back into the shadows. And the deeper we dig, the clearer the pattern becomes. This was not random. This was orchestrated. A message carefully crafted not only to silence Kirk, but to send a signal to everyone else. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was not just the silencing of one man. It was a warning. A message to anyone in American politics who dares to expose corruption, question foreign policy, or challenge the wrong donors. It tells every politician, every journalist, every activist, cross the line, and you can be erased. And now we arrive at the real question. It is no longer, did Tyler Robinson kill Charlie Kirk? That's the distraction. The real question is, who ordered it, and why? Because behind every convenient narrative there is an author. Behind every cover-up there is a motive. Someone benefited from Kirk's silence. Someone gained from his removal. And someone, somewhere, is counting on the public to stop asking questions. But this story is not over. The truth about September 10, 2025 may reveal the darkest secrets of power, money, and control in America today. And whether we ever learn that truth depends on us. Demand answers. Demand transparency. Demand the truth. Because if they can silence him, they can silence anyone.